All right, now looking at the Western Conference in the play-in tournament at 9 and 10, we have Memphis and San Antonio, and then in 7 and 8 we have the Lakers and Golden State. There right now are all in the play-in tournament. Uh, I like what Memphis is doing. I'm gonna have them going over San Antonio. Again, the 9 and 10 I don't think really matters, just with who's there and how Memphis is playing. I don't think San Antonio really has a shot beyond that. I think they're just happy to be here. So I have Memphis going on. Then we got Lakers and Golden State. I think this is going to be a great series if it holds, and I hope it does hold, just because I think it's going to be more exciting to see the Lakers kind of have to play their way back into the fold after all the injuries. So it wouldn't surprise me if we get a 6-7 game series, if this is the series we have. But ultimately, I'm going to have the Lakers move on, just especially if they get LeBron back. It's just it's hard to bet against them. I really want to. I want to say Golden State's going to pull it off just because of Steph Curry's season so far. He's been playing out of his mind. He's been playing like an MVP. So it'd be fun just to see them overcome that. But I'll have Lakers move on. And I think if I'm reading this right, Golden State could still win it, right? Because the loser in the 8 seed, the 7-8 seed goes on to play 9. All right, so I'm going to have Golden State beat Memphis then. So I'm going to have Golden State and Lakers be those seeds with 7 and 8. It's the same thing on your side. 7 and 8 goes on, moves on there. And then we have Utah then going up against Golden State and 1 and 8. I'm going to have Utah win. Golden State did win last night as of May 11th against Utah in a really good game. I don't know how long they could do that, especially in the playoffs without Clay. Obviously, this Golden State team is good, and they'd be really phenomenal with Klay Thompson, right? But I don't think they can get far deep into the playoffs. But so I'll have them go down to Utah. Then we have our 4 and 5 seed with Denver and Dallas.
One thing I was just going to mention too. So with the play-in games though, these actually aren't full series. This is the one thing that I kind of like question about it, because I think basketball is a game where you kind of need to have a series to find out who the better team is. I think anybody can win any given night if you get hot from 3, right? Especially in today's game. So the 7th and 8th seed, when they play, it's just one game. The winner advances, and then the loser faces in a 1-game matchup versus the winner of the 9th and 10th game. Which I think makes sense in the sense that if you were asking the 8th seed presumably to play 2 additional series compared to everybody else, like you're really lengthening out the playoffs in stuff.
True.
However, the fact that these are sudden death games, which the NBA doesn't really have. So maybe this is a whole new atmosphere that crops up. But that was just something I wanted to.
That's a good distinction, because then I'm looking at that Laker Golden State one, and they could easily flip flop so easily just because. It does on a night, just any other night, right? Okay, good to know. Okay, it still holds because I both have Lakers and Golden State going on. So, with that, Denver Dallas. I'm excited for this matchup. I'm excited for playoffs to get back and actually start watching basketball a little more. I've been watching Trailblazers, but I kind of don't care because the games don't matter yet. I want this playoff. So I think this would be a good series. I'm going to ultimately have Denver go up. Even without Jamal Murray, they've been on a tear. They got a little bit better since he went down, and it's kind of like how you explained the Philadelphia Eagle effect with Nick Foles. Your starter goes down and you rally behind the guy who's replacing him. It seems like that's what's going on. So I'm going to have them move on over Dallas in a good series. Then we got at the 3 seed, the Clippers, and 6 seed Portland. Portland will make this fun. Dame is scoring points right now. Their offense is clicking, but they have one of the league's worst defenses. So they've been better over the last couple of games, but their back's against the wall, and that's when that team actually performs well. Dame is an underdog. So, I don't have them going on I don't have them going past this first round. So I have the Clippers pull out, but man, would I love to see him win this one, but I don't see it with that defense. Then we got the Phoenix Suns against the Lakers. This is a matchup I don't think the Lakers want. I think Phoenix is dangerous. Full strength Lakers, I think they would pull it out. And I think I want to have Phoenix win this one. I think Phoenix takes down Lakers right here, just because injuries. lack of playing time, kind of the same to your reasons with Brooklyn. Even though the Lakers are a very similar team to last season and they got pretty much better, shed off some dead weight, I still think Phoenix is gonna take this one. So I'll have Phoenix. I think that's the upset there, even though they're the 2 seed against 7. So then going forward, we got Utah against Denver, and then Clippers with Phoenix.
So like I agree with almost all of that, and I think that it's really interesting with Phoenix and the Lakers because I think that it's kind of two sides of like the same coin. That we're like, one I think is like a really good regular season team with very little playoff experience outside of Chris Paul, right? Yeah. And Chris Paul has only once ever gotten out of the second round of the playoffs. Now you can put that on Doc Rivers and Blake Griffin, but that he's arguably the MVP this season if you look at how the Suns turned around. But I do question how good they're going to be in a playoff circumstance. So I put that solely on how healthy are the Lakers, right? Like if LeBron, he said he's never going to get back to 100%, which is super scary. But if he can be 90% and AD kind of rounds into form, yeah, I still think that they win that series. But right now, looking at how the Lakers are performing, it's super hard to say that they're gonna, beat the Suns with any confidence. So I think that's a good pick there.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So Utah #1 against Denver, and I'm gonna go with Utah. I wouldn't surprise me Denver making this a series, but I like what Utah's doing. I'm
really excited for the series just based on what we saw last year in the bubble between Utah and Denver. That 7-game series, even without Jamal Murray.
Yeah, I have Utah winning that one, and then we have Phoenix and Clippers. I'm gonna go with Phoenix just because I don't. Just based on last season with the Clippers, I'm like, all right, cool. I mean, you're obviously a little better this season, but I'm still not confident in that team. And I do like what Phoenix is doing. I think the matchup between Utah and Phoenix would be fun. I think it's a surprising Western Conference Finals, but hey, let's get it. Let's go there. So, and then ultimately, I'm gonna have Phoenix going to the finals. Let's do it. In the matchup with Phoenix and Utah, I'm gonna pull out with Phoenix going on and going into the finals representing the Western Conference.
So yeah, I don't entirely agree, but I really like the rationale and stuff. It would be really fun to watch that team end up making the finals there. I think the Clippers had a lot of lumps last year. They were not mentally prepared to be in the bubble, not just from Lou Williams getting chicken wings at a strip club and stuff, but like Paul George just talked about being anxious and like being depressed inside it. Doc Rivers said they weren't there from the start. And then when you say all that and then you look at how well they performed, I mean, they didn't perform up to like expectations, but like, okay, you still took the Nuggets 6 games and stuff. Denver and Utah, I think, is a situation where if Jamal Murray was healthy, I would 100% take Denver. I think those two teams are so evenly matched in the way that Jokic goes up against Gobert. So I could totally see Donovan Mitchell, especially as a playoff performer, taking that series over. I think that one is a total coin flip. I would take the Clippers over the Suns because I think they are going to grow from last year's experience, and they added playoff Rondo. So I'm excited to see what that's going to look like. And so I would probably have the Clippers going. Like, I think that it could be really interesting if we have the Clippers and the Bucks in the finals, just because it's these teams that like last year really fell short of what their expectations were. But I wonder if now going into the playoffs as an underdog kind of shifts that narrative around them and is able to kind of give them that edge that they need to really stay competitive. But overall, yeah, it would be super fun if the Suns ended up making it to the finals.
Yeah, it's definitely true about Clippers and Milwaukee. They're kind of like, no one's talking about them. I'm kind of like, whatever.
Everybody bailed last year, and sure. But I think like also if we think Michael Jordan, yes, during a crazy bubble. Year, like Michael Jordan lost to the Celtics over and over again. He lost to the Pistons over and over again, and then he broke through. And won effectively 6 straight championships, right? So it takes time. Yeah. He was 26, 27 when he won his first one, right? Which Giannis is only 27 right now. So just
I was like, here it is. You're sounding like a little Milwaukee fan, getting a little impatient over there, huh? Yep.
Well, and the other thing that's a different too is that I think both of these teams learned what they needed to improve on based on last year's playoff performance. For the Bucks, it's let's get rid of Eric Bledsoe, who consistently shrinks, get a point guard who's a better defender, get PJ Tucker so we can actually switch everything. They have substantially better 3-point shooting. The 76ers, or I'm sorry, I don't know why they came up. The Clippers and getting Rondo, they have a real distributor at point guard, which they did not have before. You get rid of Montrezl Harrell, you get rid of Lou Williams, but you bring in players that complement what Paul George and Kawhi Leonard do a whole lot better. So I think both of these two teams are much more well equipped to be successful in the playoffs this year than they were last year, even just from a coaching attitude perspective of, they keep on building a wall around Giannis. They're going to force Paul George to shoot. Like how do we figure these things out?
And there you have it. So on the Western Conference side, my pick and my prediction is that the Phoenix Suns will go on and represent the Western Conference in the finals.